Episode 50. What are we talking about today?
Today, we're talking about creative etiquette. So, yeah.
No, dude, seriously. We need to get people up to speed on the etiquette as creative freelancers, whether you're a photographer, videographer, if you get brought on set, or if you're running your own show, there is etiquette and there's things that we're going to touch on today to make sure that you're prepared going into the new year and also in 2023.
All right, let's roll intro music. All right, Paul, it's been a while. Honestly, I'm not going to lie. We've been lagging on the podcast a little bit. We've been super busy. I got the flu. I was sick for like 2 weeks. Paul recently just had a baby, so he's been full on dad mode. But yeah, let's update the audience a bit. Like, what you been up to, bro, over the last couple of weeks?
Yeah, first of all, bro, sorry you had COVID. I know you're Team Novak, but
bro,
yeah,
what have I been up
to? What have I been up to? Honestly, just planning and also trying to figure out structure with like life, family, work balance. With 2 little girls, both under 2. It's busy. I ain't gonna lie. And we're in Miami where we don't have any family. So it's trying to figure out that whole thing, how I can best support my wife while also support my clients, while also support the photographers and videographers inside my coaching program. And that's pretty much it. How about you?
Sheesh, dude. Yeah, you're busy, man. You go. Yeah, I got sick. So that you're definitely created some bottlenecks. I am actually vaccinated. Okay, Paul. Okay. And it wasn't COVID. I had the flu. Okay, dog. It was nasty, though. It was nasty. But yeah, dude, it just created some bottlenecks for me personally. So I got super busy with client work and I'm still busy. I always joke to myself, it's not a joke, but I try to take December off every year. Like I try to take it slow, but every year December comes around, your boy is still going hard. And it's just annoying because yeah, I always think it's going to be a slower like time to reflect for the new year, but it's always a rush going into the new year. Mm-hmm. But yeah, anyway, I'm grateful. And I know that you and I have been catching up. We will have big plans for MIDCONVO for next year. So we're super excited about that. And we just hit over 100 5-star reviews on Spotify. Apple Podcasts is still on the up. We're trying to hit 100 there. So if you enjoy the podcast, we've been loving all the DMs and all the story shares and everything you guys have been interacting with the podcast. It's been super cool to see. I know me and Paul, I speak for both of us. We love getting that feedback from you guys.
Yeah, the reviews are helpful too. At the end of the day, our goal is to just simply get in front of as many creative freelancers as possible, because let's be honest, it can be lonely growing and running a business. So why not do it in community, and why not share with as many people as possible what we're learning along the way? And that's why we're speaking on a topic today that we feel like is necessary. It actually comes from me and Ed off the mic. We're FaceTiming each other all the time. And I called Ed recently and said, man, we got to chat, because I feel like there's things that I've experienced. And don't get me wrong, when I first started, I probably definitely was doing things that I shouldn't be on set, but there's etiquette. So we're going to get into a few different things that we feel like can just prepare you and set you up for success when you're going into a relationship with other creatives, and also when you get brought on a team and you're a contractor. And how to do it in a way where you're being respectful, and also you're not stepping on toes.
Yep. Dude, this is going to be a good episode for those of you who are trying to grow your network, trying to be on more projects next year, trying to work with cooler people. This will help, because this is the episode I feel like me and Paul probably needed when we first started out too. It's no different. Like, just to give a little illustration of what we're going to accomplish today, is no different than having like table manners when you're at a dinner at a homie's house, right? There are certain do's and don'ts. There are certain things you just need to realize that, yeah, I mean, if you do it, it's not necessarily the end of the world, but you probably won't get called back for dinner if you're acting like that at the table. So it's the same thing with the creative industry, and we're going to go into some of these. So I don't know, do you want to go first, or do you want me to go first? What is like some creative etiquette things? I was about to go start. He's about to go on a rant right now, dude.
I'm about to be transparent with you guys on one that sticks out. And it happened in 2022. I'm not going to name drop, but if it slips out, we'll throw in a little quack noise. I had a client that reached out, first time client, for a full-on content campaign here in Miami. And it was awesome for me because I knew it was going to be a project that I would have to step up and be the producer for and creative director for. And I was going to outsource some of, I would say, the best creative freelancers here in Miami that spoke to what this brand was trying to achieve. Brought on a videographer, brought on a photographer, brought on hair and makeup, brought on a stylist, all the things. The problem is that when I bring on contractors, you know, I'm looking for them to, first of all, appreciate the opportunity, but also to respect the opportunity. And I want them to be an extension of my team on set, right? The problem in this this case study here, or this example, is that after the shoot was all said and done, paid everybody out, it was great, that client actually went out and tried poaching the photographer that I had brought on as a producer. And that photographer reached out to me and said, hey, I just want to let you know, your client reached out to me directly and they want to bring me onto a shoot that's out of state. Are you okay with that? And I mean, here's the deal. Business 101, strong communication is everything. So I appreciated that. But
yeah, that was good on her part. At least
that was good. That was good on their part. But I said right off the bat, you know what, I'm not going to tell you what to do, but I personally wouldn't feel comfortable because this client is essentially taking all the things that I did to produce their big campaign and they're trying to do it on their own and they're trying to go to you directly now. So if you decide to take on that project, just know that I don't think that's how business should work. And they ended up taking on that project because I think they got a little bit too excited because it was out of state. It was going to be in San Diego and all those things. So etiquette, you got to make sure that you're not doing anything like that, straight up.
Yeah.
Like I wish if, for example, if Ed brought me on a project and he told his client, hey, we're going to do photo and video, and they're working with Ed, and I'm just being hired on by Ed for that project. If that client ever reached out to me directly for photos, I'm going to tell Ed, hey, this only makes sense if you're on it too. I'm not going to work with them one-on-one because this is your client. And I think that's just like common 101 business when it comes to work in the creative industry.
Yeah. And honestly, some of these etiquette things, it crosses over into anything that you do for work, to be honest. It's not just creative industry. Obviously, we're focusing on creative stuff today for photographers and videographers, but that's a huge one, yeah. Because when you start working on bigger projects, you start bringing in more talent. In my opinion, when there's more talented people on set, that is when like more trust, more etiquette, like more communication needs to be like there, or else, you could hit a train wreck down the line, which, it happens. It seriously happens. One of mine, going on to some of my creative etiquettes. All right, this is a trick question. All right, you can answer it, Paul. Let's see what everyone else whoever's listening can think about. Think of your answer. Okay. If you have a project, right, and you hire someone to do BTS or PA, they're like, not lower is not the right word. They're just not a huge part of that project. Like maybe they're just assisting or they're doing BTS. The client doesn't even know who this person necessarily is, right? Is it okay for that person to take all the deliverables from that project and use it on their portfolio?
Hell no.
Think about that for a second, bro. Think about that for a second.
That's an easy no. Easy no.
Why is that a no, though?
Yeah.
Why is that a no when it comes to creative etiquette?
I would say unless you're the one that, I think if you're like the wardrobe stylist and you played a huge role in that shoot, and you like, let's say wardrobe styling was a huge part of a fashion shoot, and the photographer that you worked with gives you the A-OK, I think it's fine. You just need to be clear that you were the one doing wardrobe styling. But if you're doing BTS and you start posting the polished final photos from that shoot, no, like you don't have the credibility, or do you deserve to put those photos on your portfolio and take ownership?
But what about people who are like, yeah, but what if I give credit though? What if I tag all the people who are involved? Like I'll give you credit as a photographer, as a videographer. I just want to pad my portfolio so I can attract the type of clients that I want. Milo. Hey, we got babies in the house. We got babies in the house.
Yo, what's up, Mila? She back. Yeah, I don't think credit or not credit, I don't think that's appropriate. I've been a part of big shoots before where if I'm doing the photo and I bring Ed on for video, I'm going to be clear that I'm the one that did the photos and Ed's the one that did the video. And I'm also going to ask your permission to do that.
Yeah. No, that's a big one, guys. So if you're listening to this right now and you were on a really cool project, this is just a whole nother thing too, is don't like shoot yourself in the foot by being so fanboying or fangirling over a project. Yes, you have a part of it, but this is how you build rapport, right? You start as a PA or you start doing BTS. Then if they see talent in you, they'll bring you on for another role. But I often see too many beginner creatives like get lost in the sauce when they get brought on as on cooler projects, and then they'll start to flood their Instagram stories and their Instagram with like all this stuff with a project that's not theirs. And it just doesn't rub the producer or the DP or whoever's client that is, whoever the creator is putting that together, it doesn't rub them the right way, and they're not going to call you back.
True. I got a question for you in the audience. Right. Let's say a client comes to you and it's a pretty big project where you're going to have to bring on other people. Yeah. And one of those people is kind of an on-set stylist, like prop, wardrobe, all that. And again, it's your client. Your client's on set, all right? So you have a crew of 5 people. Your client's on set. They're making sure everything's going smoothly. And during that shoot, the prop stylist person is taking all this BTS on her iPhone, Instagram stories, and she's posting them and she's tagging everyone that's in the crew. And that's what she's doing when she's not styling. She's just like capturing all this stuff for her Instagram to make her look like she's, doing something big. How do you handle that? Would you be less upset if that person or that individual asked you ahead of time, hey, is this going to be appropriate or not?
Sorry, say that last part again. So are you saying if they asked how
like if they asked ahead of time, would it be appropriate? Would you let them? And then also what would be your thoughts if they just did it? And again, you're not babysitting them, but also is that appropriate for them to start capturing all this footage and like posting it on their Instagram stories?
No, that's a good question. Well, the audience, hopefully if you're listening to this, you have an answer in your mind. This is a fun podcast episode because it's kind of testing whoever's listening what you would answer to yourself on that. But so this is my take on it. First off, doing it without asking and just posting a bunch of stories and tagging not only just the creators, but if you tag the brand in there too, that is like a big no. That is like a full on no. For like a number of reasons that we don't have to go super deep into. It's just not a good thing to do from a creative etiquette standpoint. This is something that maybe some people who are first starting out might not know. I mean, Paul produces a lot of projects, but a lot of times on these call sheets and a lot of times on these like day of timeline schedules, there's like a note on there that's highlighted that says a closed set. If you're on a big project with a big brand, it's very common for the directors or producers to put closed set, meaning no Instagram stories, no Instagram posts. A lot of these times, these are products that are not even launched yet. They don't want it to be like featured on stories. You don't want to be that PA that shows up, puts an Instagram story, and then puts everyone at risk, especially the person that hired you to be a PA. You're putting their relationship with the client that hired them at risk now because you are a liability on set. So exactly. Definitely, even if you don't ask, that's a no. If you ask, I think that's okay to ask. But then again, I think you have to be smart about it, right? Like think about the caliber of the brand. Think about the person you're working with. Like how close are you with this person? And then ask if you feel like the answer would be yes. If it's a smaller shoot, honestly, like, and it's a mom and pop brand, or it's like something that like or it's a brand that I've already pumped on my Instagram plenty of times, I usually don't mind if people are posting stories, but 100% you should ask. You have to ask.
Yeah, it's not one of those things where you do it and ask for forgiveness later. I'll be honest with you. There was this individual that did that on a shoot of mine a year and a half ago. I dropped him like it's hot. I'm like, yo, we're never working together again. And it was actually something where I made it clear at the beginning. I'm like, we're not here for our own individual hype. We're here to support our client. So the last thing that I want is for us all to be posting stories on our Instagram, tagging the brands and making it seem like we're crushing it. When in reality, guess what? Like the client's looking for us to perform, not try to flex on social media. And also, we're not even supposed to like reveal the product until like 6 months down the road.
Yeah. I think it's okay to, like, for people who get BTS, like I'm a big fan of it. I know you are too. It's okay to capture the BTS. Just don't post it. Like it's okay to have it backlogged in your phone, because down the line, if the project is released now and like maybe the person who hired you even asked like, hey, do you have some iPhone clips from when we shot that day? Like it's okay to have it backlogged. Just be smart about posting it. You know what I mean? I think over the last couple of minutes, the overarching theme here for this one is just don't treat projects that aren't yours like it's yours. You know, if you have a role on set, like fulfill that role. And yeah, when it comes time to you, for you to land your own clients, then you can run the show, right? You can call the shots and you can hide, you know, tell the PA or whatever, the BTS people to do what to do. But like, if it's not your client, just don't treat it like it's your client, because it just makes everyone else feel awkward. And it makes the person that hired you, it puts them in an awkward position too, because they're like, I like working with this person, but you know, the etiquette part is huge. Hey, me and Paul, we're harping on this episode, but you guys don't even know. Like we have FaceTimes about these etiquette things with people we work with. And I'm telling you, there are really, really talented people that I've worked with in the past, like literally crush it. But I won't work with them because of like one thing or a couple things that I catch from an etiquette standpoint. So it's like, I don't even care how good you are with the camera. If you don't like check the boxes on this etiquette side, I'm not calling you back for the next project. And that's huge. That's like huge in my opinion.
Man, I've gone out of here. One thing that I feel like is just common sense etiquette. And this is something that I feel like is so prevalent is I brought people on to many projects even this last year where after the shoot and I pay them, I never get a message like a thank you or like, hey, I'd love to like be brought on to a future shoot. I'm talking from like lighting to hair and makeup to typically the talent are the ones that are thanking me. And to be honest, like I pay my crew very well whenever I bring on shoots and I'm producing that I take note of that. Like your goal and the etiquette, I feel like should be to make the person's job easier that you're serving under. And then after that shoot, thank them. You don't need to send them a gift, but say, hey, this shoot meant a lot to me. I'm available. I want to work with you on future projects. I'd love feedback. Like that's etiquette. That's like common sense right there, in my opinion. And to be honest, I hate to say it, but like I am exhausted from this last year because of the lack of people being grateful and also just for like communicating to me after the shoot happens. There's none of it. Which is kind of a bummer, but also it's a blessing in disguise because I'm really like I'm able to figure out who's a good fit and who's not for future client projects.
Dude, well, Paul, you know that project you brought me on for a couple months ago? Thanks, man. I really appreciate
you. Thank me after every project we've been on. You're like, bro, thank you so much. This is awesome.
Yeah,
I'm like,
it's true though. It honestly, jokes aside, that is a huge one. I honestly feel like that does not get talked about enough because, you know, oftentimes when you get brought on for a project, no doubt you are providing a service as well to the person that hired you. So like they should, like us as producers or us as people who maybe put together these shoots, we're also grateful and should say thank you to the people that we bring on. But to your point though, it goes back and forth. You know what I mean? It's give and take. Like if someone brings me a gig, I'm going to say thank you because without them, I wouldn't have that income regardless of how much I worked or regardless of like, you know, how hard it was. I said yes. I let my yes mean yes, and they brought me income and they paid me. And it's super important to say just thank you or build the relationship that way. Why is this important? Because when you want to build your business and you want to continue to get more income and you want to continue to build your network, I'm telling you, like Paul just said, these are the small things that will get you calls back, like callbacks. You know what I mean? People are going to call you back because there are so many talented individuals out there nowadays. I mean, we have people who are like 16 coming up, or they're like, 30 or whatever. Like there's so much talent out there now that you can't just expect people to see your work and just be like, I'm going to hire you for every project. A lot of it does. There are seriously people I have in my contractor list or just like people I work with or creatives that I hire because I just like being around them.
Mm-hmm.
Like aside from their talent, I just like being around them. And yeah, things like that, like saying thank you after getting paid. It's so small and it's literally takes no time, but it's a huge relationship building thing that I think people should take away from if
Mm-hmm.
they are brought on set, because you know it's like one of those things. If you're putting together a shoot and you're paying thousands of dollars in checks after, and it's just radio silence and you hear nothing back, and you just took half your day to sign these checks and like
Come
pay
on
out
now.
this big part, yeah, it's
Mm-hmm.
like it doesn't make you feel good.
Exactly.
Yeah,
Yeah, I got an etiquette thing that I want to bring up because
do it.
you won't believe me that this happened. And this again, all these things happened in 2022. I can't believe this happened. But this shoot happened in Miami. It was for a retainer client of mine, and I
Mhm.
brought on a bunch of people. I'm not going to say what role this person is,
Yeah.
but I will say that they pulled up their portfolio on their laptop and put it out on a table where the client and like the talent and all of us were like
Oh
getting
heck
wardrobe, hair, and
no.
like props and stuff
You're
ready.
lying.
And during the shoot, I'm like going back and forth between like the production guide and hair and makeup and going to where the talent and I were shooting outside. And I noticed in like my peripherals that there was a laptop playing a slideshow of this person's content, like this portfolio.
Bro, that's out of pocket.
And
That's
it
out
was
of
the
pocket.
first time my client was ever on set, and I've been working with them for years. And I was like, wow, what is happening? And again, I have no words for it. I was just like, you're showing your portfolio on a shoot where you're supposed to be handling something that has nothing to do with photo. And this isn't about you. And you're
Mhm.
making it about you. And I hear the client of my client asking you about whatever the heck's on your laptop. That's not a good look. And that right there is the biggest red flag. It's no different than
Huge,
being
yeah.
on set with client, like you getting brought on set underneath an agency or another photographer, videographer, and being told that you're an assist and handing out your business cards to the client on set. That's just not it. Like that's not how
it.
you do it.
Yeah. And I've honestly, I've ran into that situation a couple times as well with people that I've worked with over the last couple years, like it happens here and there, but that is huge. So the one liner for that of like what Paul just mentioned is do not network with the client on set that's not your client. Like
That's it right there.
it's kind of, yeah, it's just a red flag. Just don't do that because it makes it awkward for the client. It makes it awkward for the person that hired you, and you definitely aren't getting a call back. It's really like a negative all around. So it's like, why would you shoot yourself in the foot? And I get it. Some of these creatives, they're hungry, right? They want to, they want to grow their business and they want to like network. They want it. Some people could argue, I'm just getting my name out there, right? Like I got to start somewhere. I got to get my name out there. I got to get on set. And I agree with all those points, but there's a way to go about it that's proper. Again, coming down to etiquette. So I have one.
Ooh.
I have an etiquette one. How do you feel about people knowing you've worked with a brand, let's say, or a client, and you know that this brand, they work with multiple people, like it's not just they work with you exclusively, or maybe they do work with you exclusively. How do you feel about people who you're not super close with asking you for an intro and an email? Like they're wondering if you have a contact.
Before?
Yeah, they're wondering if you have a contact at so-and-so place because they would like to work with them.
Yeah.
And they're asking if you can intro them in an email.
Yeah, I give them the benefit of the doubt, but here's the deal. If it's obvious that I've worked with them before and it's someone that's been following me and has like been able to see my journey with that client, I'm like, absolutely not. Because what happens is I realized this within the last year and a half when I moved to Miami. There's people that started working with these old clients of mine, and no bad blood, but they're people that I've been really close with. So not only did that reflect bad on did that look bad for my clients to like pursue that, but also these people that know me and know that I worked with them, I'm like, you got to be kidding me. Why wouldn't you even like mention it to me? But the introduction thing's weird. I think it's just like an absolute no,
Yeah. I think that you need to have rapport built up with a certain individual. You have to read the room. I don't mind giving intros to people, especially for people that are my friends. And, I don't feel like they're trying to, do me dirty in any kind of way. But I would say, when you're building a network, it's important that you understand the dynamics between like clients and creators, and you just don't want to come off selfish. You know what I mean? And it's very clear, especially for if you've been in the industry for a while, it's super obvious when a creator has ulterior motives to like for selfish gain. Like you can smell that from like a mile away. And intro thing is kind of one etiquette that I feel is in that arena. You know what I mean? Like if Paul asked me for an intro to a brand that I've worked with, and I don't work with that brand in a capacity of like photography or video or anything like that, I'm happy to intro Paul. But it's different if like someone who I don't know that well, maybe they've connected with me on social and something, and they're like, hey, I noticed that you work with so-and-so brand. Do you have a contact there? Can I reach out to them? I kind of want to work with them too. That's the part that I'm like, it just puts me in such an awkward position, right? Because I don't want to be rude and be like, I'm not going to intro you. So, but then again, it's shaving off points on like if I'm ever going to work with that person again, you know?
Yeah, that's good.
Yeah.
I don't know what it is, but I think just the human nature, it sounds bad, but it's like we want like we're not willing to give, but we're willing to ask more, like so much more. And dude, I've recognized that a lot with people that I've come in contact with. Just in the industry is like the people I gravitate towards are the ones that are givers, but aren't always asking for favors without giving in return. And I'm not asking for like, it doesn't need to be equal, but at the same time, you got to be respectful. And that brings me to like the whole pick your brain over coffee thing. Let's talk about that etiquette first for a minute, because I think this is a huge issue in the creative industry. We put out an episode on this, by the way, saying, hey, don't ask people to pick their brain over coffee. Rather figure out how to add value to them first. And we still be getting messages asking to pick your brain, but that's fine.
I think everyone does. Yeah, for sure.
I've been there, but etiquette wise, if you're going to ask someone out for coffee to ask them questions around the industry or whatever, who's the one buying the coffee? You know, and like,
my gosh, yo, we've talked about this. I remember
how
this.
Does that
I
work?
remember this FaceTime, dude.
This bleeds into working with clients. I just want to say, I love asking my clients if they're going to be on set in the morning. I'll be like, what do you want for coffee? I'll pick it up. Or the day before, I have my team ask the client, yo, do you have any dietary restrictions? Or like, what do you want from the coffee shop?
Yeah.
Goes a long way. But what are your thoughts?
I'm gonna give the audience just a quick second to brew on this one a bit. Like etiquette when it comes to small things like buying coffee on set, or maybe it's buying lunch, you know, things like that. For me personally, I think that if someone is reaching out to you to network, to quote unquote pick their brain, which, you know, we've all learned on this podcast is like not the terminology you want to use. But let's say I go out of my way to meet with some person who wants to pick my brain, quote unquote. They better be buying me lunch, dog. They better be buying me lunch, and they better be buying me coffee. You know,
not off the dollar menu either.
Yeah, and and I'm not saying that like, oh, you owe me because I'm gonna be here. It's nothing like that. But it's simply like when you ask your friend to go out to dinner, right? Or like you ask another couple or another family, like, hey, come over for dinner, right? You're picking up the tab. Like you're the one who invited them over. Yeah. Like how awkward would it be if you invited someone into your home to have dinner and then you're like, oh yeah, can you pick up takeout and bring it over so we can eat at our house? They'd be like, yo, what? You're the one inviting us over. Yeah. And it's the same thing with the creative industry. Like if you are the one inviting them out, in my opinion, you should be the one to pick up the tab on whatever it is. Even if it's coffee, we're talking like $5 or whatever
Something
the tab.
Simple.
It doesn't have to even be lunch, you know?
My father-in-law, when we first met, when me and Sammy met, he asked me out for coffee to like ask me all the questions, like, who the heck are you? And guess what? I showed up to the coffee shop and there was a mug ready for me on the table. And he's like, I already paid for it. You just got to go fill it up. I'm like, are you kidding me?
What a guy. What a guy.
That's awesome. But also, while we're talking about this, me and you got to connect off mic because any guests that we bring on, we got to give them a little something.
Yeah, no, for sure. I was thinking for 2023, when any like guests we have, we should create a little swag bag, dude. Like
Ooh, I
some
like
merch,
that.
a little gift card. Yeah, I'm big on that because
We'll treat
I
it
feel
like hot ones, where you're gonna get some hot buffalo wings before the podcast.
What about after a shoot though? Okay, let's say the shoot is wrapped.
Mhm.
Shoot is wrapped. You already bought lunch because you're the one producing the set.
Uh-oh.
Who's buying? Like, are you obligated to, if it's your shoot and you hired these people and you're having like food after or something? Are you buying, or should someone else step up and buy?
I think if it's a full day shoot, and I think if it's a full day shoot, you're buying for the crew and it's getting
Yeah.
delivered. But if it's
Yeah.
after the shoot and the shoot's done and you've already been fed, you've already gotten the coffee, and it's just more of a hang, I think everyone's on their own. And I've gotten brought on shoots before underneath people that I really look up to, and I'll put my card out there and I'll be like, no, I'm picking this up. Like, I'm picking mine up and I'm picking yours up because like thanks for bringing me on, type of thing.
Mhm.
And that's my 2 cents with that. I think
Yeah.
you can't expect the person that brought you onto the shoot to cover everything after the shoot's done with. And I know that's a weird one, but like, unless it's talked about ahead of time, like I did a shoot for a brand this year and we got dinner reservations after, and I told everyone, you're invited, I'm covering it. And they're like, dang, okay.
Oh, yup. I was there for that. I think, well, there's a few always do that for the shoots that we've been
Bro,
on.
that's
but
fun. And
yeah, it is fun though. Yeah.
it's a good way to like celebrate and also to just like talk about how the shoot went.
Yeah.
But just for a casual, little lunch at like, let's say something like Chipotle, I don't know. You know what I mean? I think it's everyone's on their own.
Yeah. No, that's good. I like asking questions like that because a lot of people who are listening to this podcast, and we can kind of start wrapping it up here, but a lot of people who are listening to this episode might be thinking like, dang, like Paul and Ed are really getting into nitty gritty on some of this like etiquette stuff. But I don't know. I just can't stress it enough. Like, take me and Paul as an example. Maybe you could agree with me on this, Paul. Like, a big reason why I think me and Paul like just got so close so quickly is because of these small etiquette things. Like, of course, Paul is like a super talented photographer. He's hired me on as a videographer for some of these projects, but it's not like we don't have access to other contractors. Like, we know other talented photographers, we know other talented videographers, but like when we've worked together and when we've been together in person, like these small etiquette things I catch, just like how Paul catches, and it makes it like an enjoyable experience to be in each other's presence or working together on set. And that is what builds relationships. And like, for anyone listening, if you feel like you struggle with, man, I don't know any creatives, or I just don't have that network, or, I always feel like I'm a lone soldier when I'm on set. Like, everything we talked about this episode are those small details that will help you build stronger relationships with people that you're on set with or working with.
That's awesome. Heck yeah.
Yeah.
Dude, you nailed it right on the head.
I love how Mila just runs in here, opens the door. It's like, what's up?
I think with that, Ed, one thing that everyone needs to think about is how to be an extension of anyone's team that they're a part of. And when you're working underneath someone else's name, try to do your best to like share the values that they have already laid out for themselves, and also like don't feel like you're not going to be the hero. I'm sorry, but you're not. I think ultimately too, it's like your job is to support whoever brings you on, and I think that's it. I think there's
and vice versa, the other way. Like, when you have your own shoot and you can hire people, you can expect that same etiquette from them as well.
Yep. That's
so
good.
It goes both ways.
Wow, that was good. Well, hey.
Yeah, that was a good episode.
This is going to set people up in 2023 to look better. If you're listening to this in 2023, it's something to be mindful of. I think what I'm realizing is the creative industry is so small. It really is. As you get into it and as you start working with clients, people talk. And I love referring business to other creatives. That's why I started my coaching business. And me and Ed mean it when we say these things, that we're not trying to be hard by any means by saying, hey, these are the do's and don'ts. But they're things that we've noticed and that we've shared conversations with others in the industry where it does matter.
Yeah. If anyone is listening to this and you have an awkward situation that you're in right now with one of these etiquette things we've been talking about, yo, hit us up in the DMs. We'd love to talk about this with you. Or if you feel like you need some guidance on how to navigate an awkward situation where a creative is maybe not understanding the same etiquette as you, I'd be super curious to hear those stories, and we could chat about it in the DMs.
That's awesome. Ed, I just want to sum it up with one of the golden nuggets that you touched on.
Yeah.
Don't treat a project that you get to be a part of as a networking opportunity. That was fire. And I think that really covers a lot of the things that we talked about today.
Yeah,
stay in your lane. And I hope these tips help you guys in the foreseeable future as you grow your business.
Yep. Thanks for listening, everyone.
Episode 50.
Yeah. Episode 50 in the books. Probably the next one will be next year. But thank you, everyone, for riding with us on MIDCONVO. And we're excited for next year.
Yep. Talk to you soon.
Peace.